Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you for joining us today for the Civico platform launch event. Civico is a state-level platform to improve science policy outcomes through better use of scientific evidence. And you can find that at gocivico.com and also on Twitter at gocivico. So please share if you have interesting tidbits from the event today. We'd love to see you sharing on social media during the event. And you can also check out the site while we're giving some introductions. So really excited that you've joined us today. For those who can't make it, we'll share the recording after the event. And just starting with a few brief introductions. So I'll introduce myself and also the other members of the Sigma Xi staff who helped with the platform. So my name is Adriana Bankston. I'm a senior fellow in civic science and public policy with Sigma Xi and have been working on this project for the past 8 months. But this was started before me by the previous fellow, Andrew George. And so it's been long in the making before my time here. So really excited that we have made it to this point where we can share the platform with you today. And I want to especially thank Jamie Vernon for the opportunity to work on this project, as well as Tamara Poles, who was until recently the director of programs, as well as Jason Papagan for promotions and Mike Pavlot for helping with the technical side. And there's a lot of work on the website side of things. So appreciate everybody's help. And also thank you to Automatic for working with us on this project. Before moving on, I want to also thank the Rita Allen Foundation for working with us and funding this work through the Civic Science Fellows Program. And of course, none of this would have been possible without the help of our fantastic advisory boards, which are composed of leaders in science policy, working both at the federal and state level and several sectors, including academia, government, nonprofits, and other organizations. These folks served on either the platform advisory board, which is the group on the left, helping with the design and the user experience, or the affiliate advisory board, which is the group on the right, to provide the perspective of an organization using the platform. And they've agreed graciously to support our work over the past few months. And so really appreciate your time and for being here today. And you'll hear from a few of them a bit later in the presentation. But we really can't thank you enough for being here and for providing guidance to this project over the last year. So a little introduction about the event. So we'll give a little bit of overview of the platform and then demonstrate the platform to you. You will hear a bit from our advisory board members. And we hope that you will create an account also. So we'll talk about this, but we'll hope that you enroll in the platform either as a user or an organization, and that you will contribute opportunities and case studies to the platform through the portal. And then we want to be able to continue growing this network and also have opportunities for contributors so that we can crowdsource this platform from everybody's opportunities that you have to share. So that's all from me for now. So with that, I'll turn it over now to Jamie to talk about the big picture vision for the platform and our motivation for creating it and also what we hope to achieve. So Jamie?
I'm muted, sorry. Thanks everybody and welcome to the Civico launch event. And thank you, Adriana, for the introduction and all of the hard work you've put in for the last 8-9 months. It's been an exciting engagement with you, as well as seeing how this project has come together. You know, this is probably more than 3 years of work that's gone into getting us to this point. And there's lots of people along the way who have made contributions in terms of the ideas and how this project came to fruition. And really what we're trying to do is create an avenue or a path for civic engagement. As you know, there's a sort of a movement within science that is building a culture of civic engagement, and it's often referred to as civic science. It's a way of doing science that's civically engaged. And so we're really looking at one way that scientists can be civically engaged, and that's through policy. In particular, for this platform, we have an emphasis on state and local policy engagement. And this offers unique opportunities for scientists to engage in the policy process at a level that could directly affect them on a day-to-day basis. And we also view the platform as a tool that could help marginalized groups overcome barriers. In some ways, training individuals from marginalized groups to use the platform to engage in policy could lead to new policies that tackle some of those barriers for those communities. So just want to give that background for the presentation, and then we'll go forward. Next slide. So the case for the platform is that while we were developing an orientation for the North Carolina STEM Policy Fellows, we realized that there were a lot of scientists who were interested in policy, but through a survey, we determined that they really had a lack of awareness of what the policy opportunities were and how to engage. It wasn't that they were fearful of learning about the policy process, it was that they really didn't know where to start. So we wanted to create something that allowed scientists to first view the science policy process and then identify a place where they could engage that was comfortable for their career aspirations. And this is largely a response to the fact that a lot of the existing trainings out there are focused on advocacy. How do you lobby your congressman for a piece of legislation or on an issue that you care about? But there's not always clear pathways to training to engage in government in different areas that are not full-time career changes, such as a policy fellowship. So the trend is that when scientists are interested in policy, they often engage in a full-time, full-year policy fellowship, which can often lead them away from the bench. But many scientists who want to remain in academia or in research don't necessarily want to take that time off. So how can they engage in the policy process? And when they choose to engage in the policy process, where do they get the training to prepare them? And so we feel that the platform will likely identify gaps in the training ecosystem for those scientists. So how do you effectively perform on an advisory commission? A lot of scientists don't necessarily know what their role is. And I personally can't identify a training that I'm aware of that would train them to do that. So we hope that by making this platform very much a crowdsourced platform for all the opportunities, including the trainings, that they'll be able to discover those opportunities in the future. And then we obviously want to foster effective and sustainable collaborations between scientists and policymakers. So although this is not a Facebook of policy, it is a place where you can read case studies from other scientists as well as policymakers to see examples of how people have navigated the policy process and perhaps identify someone you would collaborate with, or a policymaker who is looking for a scientist to provide their expertise to a particular policy issue. Next slide. So the overall goal for the platform is to improve not just science policy outcomes, all policy outcomes through better use of scientific evidence in identification, formulation, and implementation of policy. We're focusing primarily at the state level, but the platform is not limited to only state level opportunities. So I always refer to it as a hypothesis that more scientists involved in policy will lead to better outcomes for the public. And so if we can create a pathway for scientists to engage in policy, then we're testing that hypothesis, and I expect that we will see positive outcomes. We also want to showcase state-level training tools and case studies, as I mentioned before, to create a community of practice and break down barriers to access. So the platform is Sigma Xi, in particular, an organization that's focused on excellence in research and the use of that research in policy. is really not trying to fill the gaps. We're trying to showcase what exists out there in the ecosystem. So if your organization has a training for scientists to engage in policy, we want this to be the place where they can discover that. So we really want to be a source for your programs. And that's really what the goal is overall. So then finally, we feel like once the platform comes into use and scientists start to not only discover the policy trainings, but also the opportunities to engage in policy, we believe that these will be research opportunities. Does this particular type of training actually prepare someone for the policy that they want to do? And does that lead to better policy outcomes? So we feel like the relationships, the connections that are built through this platform will ultimately become the subject of research to understand better how science can be incorporated into the policy process. So with that, I complete the overall goals and vision. I'm happy to take any questions.
Do you have any questions for Jamie right now? Okay. Well, keep thinking. We're going to move on to the next section to hear a few words from two of our advisory board members who are established professionals and can tell you about the value proposition for the platform from their perspective. So we'll first hear from Dipring Piquato, who's the founder and president of ATS team, and then we'll hear from Melissa Varga, who's the Science Network Senior Manager at UCS. Dipring?
Great. Thank you for hosting this event today and developing this website. So I just want to give a little bit about my background and why I believe in this type of platform is going to be so great for our community. So I started in neuroscience. I have my PhD in neuroscience, and I went to a conference, and it was just by chance that I met a professor that said, "Oh, you're from California. There's a science policy fellowship that just started in California." And this is over a decade ago. And I was just like, oh, that's interesting. I kind of always wanted to play a role in policy, shaping policy, influencing policy, doing something with my science to help policymakers. I'm definitely not going to take a look at it because I'm going to do my postdoc at UC Irvine. So I did that for 3 years. And toward the end of my postdoc, or in the middle of my postdoc, I was just like, I think I want to do a year policy fellowship to make sure that my science is relevant to actually make an impact that I want to make. And I kind of remembered this professor at this one conference that I went to, 3 years prior, and I did some Googling. And fortunately, I was able to find the professor, email him, and stay in contact and get that name of the program. The program was CCST, California Council on Science and Technology. It was by a series of continuing my networking and a lot of luck that I just happened to pass that gentleman that happened to tell me about not his physics program, but this science fellow program that got me into science policy, where I spend my time in my career today. And so this platform is actually that type of networking. And as we build the community, it's going to be so great. And it also makes it accessible for those that don't have the connections, that don't have that big of a network, that haven't heard about it, their professors haven't heard about it, from all over our nation. And so that's why I'm so excited about developing this community and using it myself and posting opportunities, possibly from my own organization, but organizations that I know as well. And I hope that you do. And as we grow, we really become this robust group of people that are using this platform to share our opportunities as scientists, as people in the science policy industries and networks to really make this flourish. So with that, thank you.
Thank you. Melissa?
Hi, everyone. Excited to be here for the official launch. A little bit about my role. As the Science Network Senior Manager, I manage our network of more than 20,000 scientists, engineers, public health professionals, and other experts who want to use their expertise to advocate for equitable science-based policy at the Union of Concerned Scientists. And one of the most common barriers that I hear to engagement is that people aren't exactly sure where to start, or they know they want to work on an issue related to their area of expertise, but aren't sure, how to get involved or what the options could look like for policy engagement for them. And there's no one right way to address those challenges, but I do think that this platform will play a valuable role in helping scientists understand what the lay of the land looks like when it comes to science policy opportunities, and start to identify which pathways align with their interests and their skill sets, and give them a sense of, where they can really plug in and make a difference. I'm also really excited for the potential of this platform as it relates to sharing science policy opportunities more broadly. So at the Union of Concerned Scientists, we found one of the most valuable ways that scientists can inform policymaking is by submitting public comments and really digging into some of the nitty-gritty details, analyzing, how regulations will impact the public and what the science says about informing those regulations. And this process can be tricky to navigate. Regulations.gov is not the most friendly platform if you haven't done it before, and it requires people to really invest some time. But these detailed substantive comments can really make a difference in policymaking and in informing policy. So I'm excited to be able to share opportunities like public comment periods on Civico to reach a broader audience of scientists who are looking for meaningful ways to contribute and to learn about, what those opportunities look like. And finally, I'm grateful that there continues to be new and innovative players in the science policy community, like Civico, like Sigma Xi, who are moving this forward. Since I started working in science policy and advocacy 10 years ago, I've seen such a significant increase in the number of organizations who are engaging in this space, and a huge increase in the number of individuals who are looking for ways to get involved in science policy, either as a volunteer or as a career path. And I don't see the number of I don't see the increase in the number of organizations or tools in this space as a problem, because I think we need many voices providing many different perspectives and many opportunities in order to reach the diverse community of scientists who are looking to engage. So I appreciate that instead of trying to reinvent the wheel here, Civico really provides a platform for some of those existing trainings and resources, and can be a space for all types of folks who are interested in science policy to come and gather and find out more about, what their pathway of engagement could look like. In working with Jamie and Adriana, it was really clear from the beginning that they recognized there was a lot of great content that already existed, and they wanted to build off of it and complement that in as many ways as they could. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to have been on the advisory board and been able to help inform what that could look like on this platform. So really excited that this is part of the continuing evolution of the science policy community, and I can't wait to see where it goes next. So back to you, Adriana.
Great, thank you, Melissa. All right, so moving on. Okay, so hopefully we've given you a little bit of introduction on the platform and piqued your interest. So I'll share a few menus first before I walk you through the website. So first we have the homepage. Again, go to gocivico.com. This tells you what Civico is all about. There's a few menus on the top, including the join button. So one thing to point out is that while some information is available, the bulk of the content is behind the login. So you'll need to create an account in order to see most of the information, and we'll go through what that looks like. Then we go into options to navigate the policy pathway by identifying, formulating, and implementing policy. We'll have opportunities, case studies, and resources available for each of these stages, realizing that some of them are cross-cutting across all three. In the platform, you'll see different types of opportunities, including, for example, webinars, fellowships, different programs, boards, chats, etc. This has expanded since we presented this previously, but we're looking to continue expanding the number of opportunities and the types of opportunities too. You'll also see resources, and the ones shown here are more broad, for education and policy topics, careers and pathways in the field, including the Honest Broker, Beyond Sputnik, and others that are well-known resources in policy. And we'll have case studies of individuals, as Jamie mentioned, who have gone through or utilized opportunities in the platform, for example, a fellowship, to transition into different policy roles. And the goal is for people to be able to see individuals who have a number of career paths, to think about where they could go in the field, but also how the opportunities presented in the platform can contribute to their path in policy, be able to connect with these folks, and also begin to build their network through the platform. So that's it for now. I know you all want to see what the website looks like, so I'm going to just share the link before I start doing this. Oops. Okay. And 1 second while I switch over here to my other screen. Okay. All right. So there we go. So one thing, as I said, there is content that will be behind the login. So you can see I'm logged into the site. You can see my icon here. So I'll show you what you can see behind it. Again, on the main page, you'll see the tagline at the top, one-stop shop for finding policy opportunities. We want to make this tailored and easy to navigate. So I'll show you a few of the menus. The background is here in terms of what Civico is, what we aim to do, and how it's meant to help educate and guide users, but also provides organizations with opportunities to showcase their policy opportunities. Going through a little bit down, I'm going to just go through this quickly. Currently, as I mentioned, you have the different policy pathways here. Yeah, okay. All right. Case studies, so we'll go through this. I'm just going to go a little bit quickly down so you can see the other windows. Here's all of our affiliates. In all these opportunities, you'll have to click Join Civico to see what's behind it. So I'll show you some of this. In the bottom, in the bottom, we have a few additional menus such as FAQs, staff information, the advisory boards, as well as contact information, case studies, resources, and opportunities. And again, we'll go through these in a little bit. So going back to the top. Okay, so again, buttons here to join Civico. Now, if I go through the pathways, for example, if I click on identify policy, so I wouldn't go through all the menus, but one example here. So in this menu, you'll see opportunities, case studies, which you can see here, as well as resources on the right side for this particular brand. So I'm going to click on one example from Donna Girardi Riordan. So you can see her name, her background, her expertise. So here's a little blurb about her. who she is, what she's done, and very brief. You can connect with her. You can see which of the pathways her profile falls under and what her expertise is. And then here's a quote about what they do with the Washington Academy. So it's a good example of a profile that we have right now. You can favorite this, so I'll do it right now just for example. And again, connection opportunities are here too in terms of Twitter and LinkedIn for Donna. Going back, again, the case studies are here. You can also see all the case studies that currently exist. So if I go down here to all case studies, you'll see the ones that we currently have in the platform. Again, different types of opportunities. They've taken different pathways, and again, we'll have opportunities to add more case studies to the list. And you can see the resources on the right. Let's see, I'm gonna go back out. Okay, I'm gonna go now to the opportunities. So here are some that are featured currently. Just to give you an example, again, I'm gonna click on one of these, the Cascade Policy Institute internship. This is has different filters. So internships, the executive branch, policy expertise, these are all filters you can go through to select different opportunities. So I'll show you what that looks like in a second. For example, if I go down here, click on Oregon, you can see all the different things that are here in the state of Oregon, different types of opportunities. Okay. So then that's one example. Again, it has the contact website and a little information here about the opportunity. The application deadline closes April 2024 and so on. Let's favorite this one just so we can have it there. And if we go to all opportunities, I wanted to show you that you can sort through different filters here. So currently, this includes the pathway, policy expertise, which is pretty broad, the types of opportunities. You can do it by state, in branches of government. And we, of course, some of these are across all three. But currently, as Jamie said, while as it is a state-focused platform currently, it's likely that we can add also federal and international opportunities. I know there are a few folks who are international who signed up. And we're just limited in capacity and what we're able to add ourselves up to this point, but hope you all will contribute. So I'll go through a couple of examples here just to show you what this looks like. So for example, if I click on health policy, you see different types of opportunities, internships, advocacy days, some of those. There's a committee and board, the Department of Vermont, and so on. So this is really cross-cutting in terms of the different types of opportunities you can see by policy expertise. If I then go out from here and search by California, for example, search by state, again, everything is in here. Some of these have been contributed by science policy groups. So you can see Stanford and UCLA and so on. Some of them are programs. So the platform, again, contains fellowships, internships, training programs, boot camps, as well as other ways to engage through advisory boards and advocacy days. And so you can see really the breadth of opportunities that already exist here from California. So, and this is, we try to make this as comprehensive as we're able to do up to this point, but again, we want you to add opportunities and case studies to make this crowdsourced. So one other feature I want to show you, if I go to my dashboard, so here is my login, what's going to look like for you. You can become a contributor, which we can approve on the back end. And we have favorites, which you can see down here. So again, I did favorite 2 things, which show up here. And then there'll be ways for you to contribute. The other thing I wanted to share, we have the FAQs here. If you have additional questions, we have an email list that you can sign up for emails here. If I go to the FAQs, it tells you what it is, why it was created, how to use it as a user, and what the benefit is for an organization, and a few other details here. So if there's anything that you have questions about, you can find it here. You can get in touch with us. Be happy to answer. Feel free to reach out to Sigma Xi for questions. So I'm going to stop sharing now, just see if there's any questions right now before we go on. Susan, yeah.
There we go. Thank you so much for the great presentation and the information. I'm just curious as to why it's behind a login, a sort of a locked feature. If there's value in having some of it publicly available for that large inclusiveness, or what the strategy was there. I was just curious. Thank you.
I'll take the question. It's really about being able to understand who our network is and who's using the platform. There's no fee or anything associated with it. The only thing you're sharing is some contact information. And it also originally was intended to help us promote content to those individuals based on a set of questions that they responded to, expressing what their areas of interest are. And that may be a feature we add in the future. So having you in the system allows us to update that information and present key aspects, opportunities and trainings and that sort of thing to those individuals.
I have a question as well. I'm Diane. I just finished my chemistry PhD and I'm interested in pivoting full-time into advocacy and policy. I was wondering how you envision folks who are in that kind of role full-time and who are in full-time academic or industry roles but wanting to get involved in policy using this platform on a weekly or monthly basis, and how can those people start to pull in their colleagues who aren't involved at all?
It's interesting to ask on a weekly basis. I'm not sure how, we don't know yet how folks are going to use it. And we definitely know that it's going to vary depending on where you are in the process of engaging in policy. In some cases, this may not be immediately relevant to folks who have a lot of experience in policy, although that down the road, there may be more opportunities that are sort of require some experience in policy, and those will then be folks that would have more experience. But initially, I think it gives you an opportunity to search and dig around in the various types of opportunities. Where might you want to live? Is there a policy opportunity in a certain state that would attract you? Is there a certificate that you could get that gives you credibility or validates your interest in policy so that you can move to that next level? A lot of folks who are coming out of PhD programs are looking at these full-time state level policy fellowships as well as the federal level policy fellowships, and they wonder, what could I do to start to establish a track record in policy? Well, you may discover those opportunities on this platform. And then it also introduces you to the organizations that are providing these opportunities so that you can look at those organizations and learn more about what they do. UCS obviously has a lot of local engagement. So you might now discover an opportunity at UCS that allows you to learn more about that organization. So it's really a building process. And as we go forward, we anticipate adding more educational material on the platform so that you can learn about policy while you're navigating through the platform.
Thank you. May I add just one extra thing? So as a person just starting out in your early career, that's what my organization sort of specializes in, is taking science and tech early career individuals into the career of their dreams. And what you can use the platform for is like go to civico.com and look up the individuals and ask how you can be helpful. So what you're lacking right now is probably that on-the-job experience. And so there are people already on the platform. We just saw a couple of use cases that you can go and do that very first policy memo and kind of analyze, using your chemistry background, some things, and people are already on that you can already network to. So that would be your weekly homework, to go and look up those people that are already on the platform, log into the join the platform, log into the platform, and really use it in the way that it's intended to get a little bit more of your expertise in practice.
Thank you. Yeah, I've already got an Excel spreadsheet going with all the opportunities, but this seems much more centralized. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, Fanuel? Oh, you're muted.
So sorry. Wanted to say congrats again. I'm biased slightly because I've been on the back end of this. I wanted to plug in a question that you've addressed in previous meetings. I wanted to make sure you guys mentioned this about the sunsetting feature regarding initiatives that go out of date and so forth, because that's a really hard challenge in this space of keeping things up to date. I'm wondering if you can just make sure you enlighten us on that aspect.
Sure. So we knew that one of the challenges of having a crowdsourced platform is that you often end up with dead links or programs that are no longer active. So we have embedded into the functionality of the platform that every platform will have, or every opportunity will have a sunset date, meaning it will expire. And at the moment, we're planning to send an email to the contributor who posted that opportunity, so they have an opportunity to update the information and then reset the sunset date. So that should help us clean up those opportunities that sort of fade away or expire as we go forward. And we want to keep this an up-to-date platform. Thank you for the question.
Great questions. Thank you, everybody. So we have a couple of more slides to go, and then so keep your questions till the end. We'll have more time. All right, so let me go back to this and then we'll transition. Okay, so now that you saw the platform and asked questions, rightly so, about the experience, we're going to turn to Ashley Orr, who's an early career advisory board member, to talk to us about the user experience.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Adriana. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Sigma Psi, for hosting this platform. So I do want to just acknowledge my positionality. So I'm a first-gen mathematics major from Youngstown State University. I graduated in 2016, and I'm a current PhD candidate at Carnegie Mellon University. My PhD is funded by the National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship Program, and and so, of course, everything I'm saying is of course just me speaking on my own, but I do have to, I wanted to share this positionality because I think a lot of what Adriana and Jamie were saying at the start of this call about sort of making opportunities accessible and making early career folks aware of what is available to them is really a need that is there in the community, and that this platform has an opportunity to fill. So I wanted to provide an example of that, and then just talk through a few of the things that I'm feeling really excited about to be using on the platform, and that I hope other early career and students start to use as well. So the first off, I mentioned the NSF GRFP. When I applied for that award, I had to write a broader impact statement of my research. And I remember when I was drafting that, I was not really sure what to put in that part of my grant proposal. And so a platform like this, training and connections to, other science, tech, and policy training organizations like the Journal of Science Policy and Governance, like the Rita Allen Foundation, all of those trainings can be really helpful to help a sort of early career person sort of unveil the hidden curricula to access the intersection of science and tech policy. So I'm feeling very excited about the opportunities that this platform might have in order to give more folks access, and then also just make transparent, how does the intersection of scientific research and policy and advocacy and impact work. So very grateful about that. There's a quote that I really like, and it's that all lives are local. And I think that this platform speaks to that as well. So you know, we of course hear in the news about national and international policy every single day, but every one of us lives a very local life in our states that we currently reside in, and in our communities we reside in. And I think sometimes for me, you know, I've lived in Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Texas, and in all of those instances, every time I moved to a new state, I became aware of a sort of new set of opportunities and norms, and also just structures by which policy and science and tech research happens. And I think this platform offers all of us a chance to sort of do a comparative analysis and say, oh, what does California have that maybe we could advocate for Ohio to have? And then also to just become aware if we were in fact planning to move, or if we don't know all of the opportunities that are available in our current home state. So I think this definitely fills a gap with that, because I'm not sure that we right now, I couldn't tell you all of the opportunities that are available in Ohio, but this platform sort of collates that. The other thing I want to impact, or I want to mention about the impact is the network and the collaborations that are possible. So I think research is always bettered when we have inclusive, diverse, and sort of teams that have quite a lot of disciplines, right? So interdisciplinary research, and STEM is made better by that as well. And so I think this platform also offers that opportunity. We get quite good at meeting and knowing the people in our fields. We might go to a conference for our discipline, you know, might read the journal, you know, for the Society of Industrial and Applied Mathematics, and feel like we sort of know our fields quite well. But this is an interdisciplinary place where we can sort of network across university boundaries, and across state boundaries, which is really exciting. And again, this is particularly important for folks, you know, first gen folks, for which they're trying to tap into those networks and build collaborations. And I think the platform eventually will be such that you could look for folks who have your research interests or experiences, and then send them an email, right? And start, you know, maybe start a paper together or write a policy memo together. And the final thing that I want to acknowledge is that, you know, with this whole initiative of civic science, one thing that is important is that our leaders in our country, in this country, and in the world, and then also state and locally, that they have a place to go to say, wait, who is an expert on blank that I could ask, you know, for science and tech information about, you know, green energy, about healthcare policy, about causal inference in policy analysis. And this platform would offer that as well. So as all of us make, you know, make our own sort of user profile, we become part of like a little bit of I think I've mentioned this before, is it's a scientist bureau, right? Where folks can turn and say, oh, who has expertise in this area that I might want to talk to. So I'm really, really grateful that you all did this work. Thank you for including me today, and excited to see where this goes.
Perfect. Thank you, Ashley. And it's great to hear the early career perspective and what students and trainees are thinking about when using this platform, because hopefully we'll have a lot of those. And thank you for mentioning the other side, which we didn't talk about today. But we are thinking about where policymakers are looking for scientific expertise and facilitating that as well. So stay tuned for more expansion on the platform. Thank you. All right, and now we're going to hear from Debbie Stein, who of course is an established leader in the field, and she'll talk about the experience of the platform from the standpoint of an organization.
Yeah, so thanks, you know, for this invitation. So, you know, I work with, you know, anything from high school students all the way up to professionals who are, you know, interested in transitioning to science technology policy, you know, whether or not that's as a career or as a volunteer experience. I myself started out at the state level. I was a field engineer for the first 5 years of my career. Then I came to DC. I got Potomac fever and was there for like another 30 years. And I was able to go from, you know, that little place, you know, in Texas to work for Congress and work for the White House. And I think what I showed is possible. And the thing I like to emphasize is that a lot of people think you need a fellowship to go into public policy, but actually the majority of scientists and engineers are actually employed at the state and local level, as opposed to the federal level. And personally, since I have worked at all these levels, I've worked at the national, state, and local level, I think the most exciting policy is really at the state and local level, because as we all know, our national policy is in somewhat of a gridlock. But even in the early days, like Obamacare came out of policies that were in Massachusetts and things like that. And so there's a chance that you're going to get more active policy experience, at that state and local level than you would at the national level. I wanted to also mention that besides, teaching people through workshops and things like that, at the Science Technology Policy Academy, I'm also co-editor of a publication on Medium, which is called Forefront. And we established it with some funding from the Gordon and Betty Moore Foundation, which has really been very much involved with these state and local activities. And we just established a new page focused on state and local policy. So it gives a place for people to publish, kind of build that portfolio, and and really get out there and focus on their the state and local issues that make a difference. And the other thing that I would say is I have been working with this group of people for, I don't know, at least 5 years or so. We've been meeting like every month for like 5 years, that basically talking about establishing state science technology programs. The California program was originally based on the AAAS national program. And now we have a number of states that have programs like in Idaho and New Jersey, in Missouri, North Carolina, and I'm sure probably I'm missing state, Connecticut. But I'm right now interviewing, because of the support from the fellowship program, for a program in West Virginia, where we have gotten our grant to establish a program in a state that very much needs science and technology advice. So I just want to say that this particular platform is a great start in trying and part of an overall effort that many of us in the science technology policy community are trying to do, which is to get more scientists, engineers involved at not only at the national level, but at the state and local level. Because as I say, kind of all politics is local, all policy is local. And, you can make a difference as long as you sort of understand what to do as a volunteer, or as an employed individual. And I think this platform will help those, regardless of what role you want to play, whether or not you want to be an analyst like myself, or if you want to do advocacy, or if you just want to support organizations that are out there as a volunteer. So congrats to Sigma Xi and the rest of the team for getting this and putting it together.
Thank you, Debbie. I really appreciate that. And that's the last slide for content. So we have a few minutes for questions if anyone has anything right now. And I'm going to share the website again. Seems like there's some questions about the link.
So I'm going to ask a question to get to, which is, what do you think are the next steps after this? Like, what do you think the plan is for a year from now, like 5 years from now? Where do you see this going in the future?
I guess I'll speak to that. Adriana's fellowship ends in December, and we're obviously looking for some funding to build on the platform and keep it maintained, but also to expand what we're trying to accomplish. Originally, as I said earlier, this was intended to be an educational platform to introduce scientists to the policy process and to determine where they want to be in that process. So I'd still like to have at least some rudimentary educational pieces within the platform, whether it's a video that walks through the policy process and then connects that to the platform. But we also want to continue to expand the network. We want to see more users. We want to see collaboration start. We'd obviously like to get into evaluation of what's happening when those collaborations and those connections are made. So I think there's quite a lot of work in the future. And, you know, although this is focused on state and local, I imagine we'll eventually be asked to host opportunities at the federal and international level. So I'm not sure what direction that's going to take. But again, that federal level is fairly well saturated with a lot of organizations. And I think the state is emerging as such an important area that we'll continue to focus on state. But there's a lot of work to be done, and we're looking for ideas, contributors to those ideas, and any examples of how you're using the platform that can help us go in the right direction.
Yeah, I think one of the things we touched upon in the beginning is how to get involved and sort of influence the policy process. So even though you have these opportunities in the platform, which for some may be just discovering them, but how do you really connect folks to these opportunities to actually make a difference is sort of the phase 2 of taking what's here and taking that further into the real world, so to speak. So
that's an important point, Adriana. You know, another way I envision the platform being used as in an educational environment. So Sigma Xi runs a North Carolina STEM Policy Fellowship or STEM Policy Boot Camp, and I would imagine that we will use the platform to help those attendees or participants in the boot camp see the breadth of opportunities that exist out there and the breadth of backgrounds of the individuals who engage in policy. So it can be used itself as an educational tool in a classroom space or a classroom setting.
all right, any other questions? Make sure I'm not missing any up here. All right, not seeing anything. All right, so then I just want to thank everyone for attending the event today. We hope this platform will be useful to you and that you will share with your colleagues and contribute opportunities and case studies. We hope to see this expand over the next few months or so. And we also welcome your feedback on the platform in terms of what you think we can improve, and as we add new features. And again, it's likely to expand and grow in the next year or so, but we really hope that you will contribute to it too. Obviously, this is growing and will evolve over time, as Jamie said, potentially beyond state. So there's a lot of potential for this to be used by a number of folks, and we look forward to seeing what the future holds. And that's it from me. So I'll just turn it over to Jamie to close us out if you have any final thoughts.
Well, I'll just say thank you to those who spoke today, Tepring and Debbie and Ashley and Melissa. Really appreciate your comments, and it's interesting to hear how you envision using the platform and what you see the value of the platform can be. And we hope to realize those visions for you, but we also hope that you'll be a part of it. And everyone who's here on the call with us now, we hope that you'll be a part of what we're trying to do. And you know, there's a lot of individual networks that exist out there, and we really feel like we're building bridges between those networks. And I expect that to accelerate some of the progress that we've seen in science policy over the last decade. As Melissa was pointing out, it's really grown. And I think these types of bridges will make us all more effective. So thank you all, and we look forward to seeing you on the platform.
Thank you.
Congrats.